Hello, welcome to Sideways. I don't know if you can hear me because that wind is blowing hard. It's pouring with rain and I'm walking up a slippery hill, so there's every chance that I might go over anytime soon. Anyway, hopefully I won't, and I can go through this introduction for you. This week we've been talking about the difference between long-term recovery and participating in a programme like Dry January, and why the two don't really bear comparison, even though there are clear benefits on both sides. In a dramatic turnaround, I take the wheel this week while Martin assumes responsibility for offering his considered opinion and consequently sets me up with an especially tricky conundrum. A man wrongly accused of a despicable crime chooses an unusual disguise in an attempt to avoid the hostility of local people. We debate the merit of maintaining a ponytail into your dotage, and we reminisce about days gone by when you were offered fags at the doctor's surgery. Whew. Dry January. Certainly isn't bloody dry January. Come on.
All right. How's it going?
Not bad. How's it up your end?
I'm all right. 9:31, you said, and it's 9:31.
Yeah, you said you might not turn up till 9:32.
9:32. No, I was ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that's quite impressive.
Way ahead. Yeah, I thought so.
You must have got a lot of stuff done.
I did. I'm organised. Well, I didn't have any notes to do this week or anything, though, did I?
No, we should probably let the listener in on
what's happening this time. This is number 245, and this is the first time we've tried this new style, as it were.
Yeah, although in fairness, I think the style has evolved over time, hasn't it? I don't know how much preparation you used to put in right at the start. Probably still quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I've always been slovenly and not done any.
and so just turned up.
Was it? I think it was last time, wasn't it? We had I think it was the conundrum. We were talking about Dry January.
Yes.
And you made your feelings clear. You couldn't have made them clearer, I don't think.
I did, yes.
So I thought, I'm going to do a little bit of research on Dry January, and because I mean, I've never done it, but I know that it's quite popular with people, and I wanted to see if there was a kind of reason for this polarisation of attitude with Dry January, and if it does have a place, and if it has a place, what is its place?
Okay, well that's quite good, and the timing's quite. It was perfect, really, isn't it?
Well, it's January, isn't it?
It is January, and people are going to be either part way through their Dry January, and they'll be in one of a number of states.
Yeah, really. All they'll have caved already.
Well, that could be one of the states. Yes. Yeah.
I was speaking to somebody the other day, a client of mine who used to. I mean, he's now a year sober. Yeah. But some years ago, when I was working with him, we were reminiscing about how he told me he was doing Dry January, but he was having a couple of days off during it, which I thought, which I found an amusing approach. Yeah, something else I was going to say. I can't remember. Anyway, so oh yeah, that's right. So we decided that I, for once, would write the notes.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a ball ache, I must admit.
Well, I'm glad you feel my pain now.
And then, of course, we thought we'd go the whole hog, didn't we? And we decided did. I would be responsible for all the features that you're usually responsible for. Yeah. And vice versa.
And vice versa.
So, before we start...
How did you get on with... Oh, excellent, yeah. So you got quite well by the sound of things, yeah.
Well, I don't really like saying that. It feels a bit weird. I should have thought of my own catchphrase, shouldn't I?
You should have done, really, but I'm happy for you to piggyback on the back of mine.
But I haven't.
The listeners are used to it, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah. And this should be a safe space, shouldn't it?
It should be a safe space.
Yeah. So I saw this headline and I thought I'd use this because it's a sort of moderate callback to to a celebrity that's featured previously on Sideways.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
All right, so
Excellent.
here it is. The headline was pensioner arrested over Sycamore Gap felling, dons Rod Stewart wig to disguise himself and avoid abuse.
I'll just wondering.
So I'll give you a little bit of context, if I may.
Yeah, please do. I'm just the Rod Stewart wig. Yeah, I mean, that's
Funny
quite
sort of
distinctive.
choice, isn't it? I would have put it as a strange choice to avoid abuse.
To avoid abuse, yeah, it's more likely to have more hurled at you. But
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the context?
So anyway, Walter Renwick, a pensioner from Northumberland, wore a Rod Stewart wig as a disguise in public after being wrongly suspected and facing a social media storm over the felling of the famous Sycamore Gap tree. So Renwick, 69, used the wig to avoid being recognised and subjected to further abuse in public, stating, "People were pointing, so I hid in a Rod Stewart wig." I mean, it's the obvious choice, isn't it?
First thing I'd think of. There's no doubt about that. I wonder how far he took it. I wonder if he, wore some Rod Stewart garb along
I don't know.
the road.
I was trying to decide. I'm wondering if he was sort of wandering along singing any Rod Stewart songs.
Yeah.
First cut is the deepest, probably.
Well, that would be ideal, wouldn't it? You've thought about that. I like that. I like your thought because it fits in nicely with those people felling the Sycamore Gap tree, doesn't it? Yeah.
Which of course is not something to laugh about.
Isn't it? No, it's a dreadful bit of vandalism.
It was. Anyway, he said he was wrongly accused of cutting down the landmark tree in Northumberland and had his home searched, describing the experience as heartbreaking. Which you can understand, really. If they found any other rock wigs when they were searching his house.
Have you ever?
Go on, sorry.
I just wondered if you've ever donned a wig for, and you must have done when you were on stage doing during your thespian period.
Yeah, definitely would have done. I can't think of a specific production.
No.
I was just going to ask you a kind of similar question. I was going to say, if you were falsely accused of cutting down one of the trees up Pennington Heath.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Whose hairstyle would you reach for?
I'd definitely go for Ozzy Osbourne. I think Yeah, I would. A long-haired wig. It would
you kind of used to have hair like that, didn't you?
I did. I did, and it would remind me of my youth. Yeah, going back that way, and it wouldn't draw that much attention. Although these days,
do you not think?
It probably would on my elderly frame. But, you see, back in the day, also when I did have long hair, there was no such thing as we didn't wear them in ponytails like people do now, or man buns. There was none of that going on, was there?
It was flowing freely, wasn't it?
It's just mess.
As God intended.
Well, it was, yeah.
I think I'd go for what would I go for? Just trying to think of a hairstyle I've never had that I'd covet. I've certainly had a mullet in my
you used to have long hair at one time, didn't you?
I've had long hair. I've had no hair. I've never had a Mohican, so maybe that's what I'd go for. Because that wouldn't draw attention to me, would it?
Not at all.
An ageing man with a Mohican.
Yeah, I do find it quite strange when you see bald men but have still got a ponytail because with long hair still dragged back into an elastic band or whatever, even though completely bald on top.
Yeah, there's a guy who lives near me who's ageing and he's got a mass of grey hair that he puts into a ponytail.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit like Francis Rossi it sort of ended up doing.
But if you're Francis Rossi, you can kind of get away with it because you're Francis Rossi.
You can, but he did, in fact, he's cut his hair now, hasn't he? So that's all gone. He has quite a sensible hairstyle. He's in his 70s now, so he's probably thought, you know what, time to sort that out.
Is it still all right to have a ponytail in your 70s, do you reckon?
No. Well, it's down to you, isn't it? Really, it's up to you.
I think that's right. I think that's. I think
if you want to
wear your hair the way you want. You're just saying no because you're sore that you couldn't grow a ponytail.
I'm sorry, I don't have enough hair to deal with that.
Well, hang on though. Is that true generally, or would you be able to sort of get enough amassing down the back?
Well, you would eventually, I suppose, just let it grow, but you'd look a right wally, wouldn't you? And
Why don't you do it just for the listeners? Then we
Should
can
I?
take a
What?
picture.
Yeah, I could do hair December because by December time it'll be enough there to do it.
Yeah, you'd have to do hair 12-month calendar, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you
Probably.
would. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, should we crack on now?
Yes, but I liked that. That was good. Yeah, the Rod Stewart wig. Good work.
Good. Good. So I haven't let you down with the first.
No, you haven't. No, you've done well, mate.
Great, thanks.
That didn't sound patronising, did it?
Mildly.
Oh, okay.
But I've got some notes here. You can't see them because I've got a.
Yeah. Oh, I can. Oh, yeah, yeah. Excellent.
So anyway, I've tried to split this into little sections.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm going to get you involved because I know you'll be a bit nervous about not having any notes.
Yeah, I'm petrified.
So I'll throw you a few curveballs if that's all right.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, of course.
So this is why I thought it was a good idea to do it because I know we haven't really had a conversation about it, have we?
No.
I just sent you a text saying I'm going to do notes on dry January, and
Yep.
you seemed all right with that.
Yeah, I am.
So these are the reasons why I thought it'd be a good thing to do. Firstly, well, I thought about our differing perspectives. I haven't got any particular skin in the game when it comes to dry January, but I
No.
just found your antipathy towards it quite interesting.
Okay.
And I suspect you're not alone in the recovery community.
No.
So I wanted to investigate its impact. I wanted to try and get some hard facts on who does it, how successful is it, and who's it most successful for, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to go through a little bit of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to test the hypothesis that if it does have a very clear purpose, it can be helpful.
Yep.
Because I think one of the things that we were kind of addressing when we were talking about it was, you were quite understandably saying, well, for someone who's got a significant dependence on drink, there are lots of reasons why it might be a very bad idea to do dry January. So I wanted to investigate that a little bit. And then I suppose following on from that, I wanted to try and see if there was a way of distinguishing it from the sort of clinical intervention that might be necessary for a dependent drinker.
Oh, okay.
You all right with that?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, of course.
So here's my first question for you.
Okay.
Do you know where the idea for a dry January first originated?
No. Sorry, we were just about to have a sip of your coffee then, weren't you? Whilst I went on about it. No, I don't really know about his origins. I mean, it seems to be placed straight after a period of the year, Christmas and New Year, where people are going to be overindulging. So if I was going to put a dry month in somewhere, then January would probably be the place to put it.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
It makes sense as far as for if you have been overindulging, then it gives you this opportunity to say, I'll do dry January. It's a sort of a cleansing exercise.
Well, you're kind of on the right lines.
Okay.
Because the idea for it apparently emerged in 1942 when in Finland they had a sober January to help in the war effort against the Russians.
Oh,
And the
okay.
idea was that it would protect resources, although I don't really understand that point. I suppose, I don't know. But the second one, which I do understand, which was to try and make sure people weren't pissed when they're handling firearms.
That does sort of make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I guess it probably does have a relationship to it being after a period of celebration. But apparently it started there where they were trying to encourage people not to drink too much in January so
Yeah.
they could whip the Russians' arses.
I suppose so. But if they were trying to eke out resources, perhaps they thought, well, our car's running dry. We need to spread this out a little bit.
Yeah, it could be that.
And so
So a kind of voluntary rationing.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Anyway, so it's modern iteration. I was quite surprised by this because I had it in my mind that dry January had been going for longer. When do you think the modern dry January began?
I would have thought I'd become aware of it probably in the 90s.
So what year? Go on, stick a year on it.
92.
Well, the modern iteration
Yeah.
only began in 2011.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
Oh, right, okay.
yeah. And apparently the idea came from a woman called Emily Robinson, who was planning to run her first half marathon and decided to quit drinking and
Okay.
found she lost weight, slept better, and had more energy for a run. And it
Yeah.
was adopted by Alcohol Change UK. I think they might have been called something else then. And then
Okay,
it only became an official campaign in 2013,
Oh, right. Oh, okay. That is recent then.
peaking in 2022 for reasons I guess we'll all remember.
Oh, well, quite, yeah.
Where apparently, we've probably spoken about this statistic before, but where 25% of people were apparently drinking more during lockdown.
Okay. So
What did you see much spike in activity in? You were running groups in those days, weren't you?
yeah.
Did you see much spike in activity during lockdown? In
Yeah.
terms of people joining groups or people lapsing or whatever.
Yeah, the lapse rate went up quite significantly, but we did see
There's
more.
nothing to do.
Boredom is a massive relapse area. It's one of those things we do quite extensive work on in the rehab about combating that, because boredom is a massive thing. But yeah, I think, and also there we're doing many more online meetings at that point because that was our only option.
Yeah.
So yeah, the new faces turned up.
New faces. What with Derek Jobson? Did he have new faces? Is that him?
I can't remember who did it. Huey Green. No, it wasn't Huey Green, was it?
Oh, no, it was Opportunity Knocks.
Yeah.
New faces. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Anyway, so it's only a kind of relatively recent addition to the calendar.
Yeah, no, I didn't realise it was that. So it seems to have been
I'm
around a
telling
long
you
time.
stuff you didn't know here this morning.
Which I feel nourished, intellectually nourished.
Right, now I want to move on to who participates. I want you to have a little stab at this.
Okay.
So in terms of the research that I read, I've read a few papers.
Yeah, well, excellent.
Haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't bore you with all the scientific detail that I found.
Thank you.
But generally speaking, what would you say in terms of participation is the split male to female?
I think it's probably weighted in favour of the females.
Go on, put a percentage on it then.
I'd say it's about 70-30.
Very well done. It's 80-20, but it's really surprised me.
Yeah, heading in that direction.
And I don't really know why it surprised me. Perhaps it surprised me because I've mostly only kind of spoken to men who are doing it or trying to do it. But yeah apparently 80-20 in favour of women.
Yeah, no, it's I suspect it would be in like that. The women are better at doing that, I think, or admitting perhaps they got an issue. It's surprising that in the groups and indeed in the rehab community, it's very male dominated, which goes against what that statistic you just show, where dry January is embraced more by females.
But it might also be one of the reasons why it doesn't feel like a valid exercise for you, because most of the people that you're working with are not the sort of typical people that would necessarily partake or participate in dry January anyway.
No, in the rehab, I don't think many people that by the time we got to rehab, I mean, I don't expect dry January would have been on your radar for many a long moon. I don't think that would have been, and perhaps never even bothered to try it.
You'd have been trying to do a wetter January if you could. Try and make January as wet as possible.
Yeah, you take it up a level.
So I'll tell you a little bit more about the profile of people who tend to participate, because I think this is quite interesting and also quite relevant to different perspectives on it. So it tends to be 80-20 in favour of women. They tend to be young women.
Yep.
They tend to be well educated.
Yep.
Well paid.
Yep.
Motivated to change.
Yep.
This is a critical one because I suspect this probably is more prevalent in women than it is in men. I don't know why I think that, I just feel it. But they are more likely to self-identify as being individuals whose drinking is a risk. So they look at their drinking behaviour and they're sort of saying, they're kind of self-aware enough to say, I think I might drink a bit too much, or I think I might cane it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, it just feels as if women might be better at identifying that than men are. What do you think?
They are, yeah, I do. But I tend to find in those sort of campaigns, women get much more support from their fellow women, if you like.
Okay.
And if a man says he's going to do dry January, normally he'd be subjected to ridicule by his mates, and people wouldn't want to, his mates wouldn't want to join in. It's quite a macho thing sometimes to drink heavily. So yeah, culturally, between the genders, I think that was that's where it would land. Which is why when you asked me that question, I naturally thought more women would do it, because they're quite happy to share that with their friends and get support from their friends.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense because I saw a little comedy sketch yesterday where this guy comes into a bar and he sees his friend sitting there and he says, "Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. I'll get them in. What are you having?" And his friend says, "I'm doing dry January." And so he says, "Oh, okay, I'll see you in February then. Let me know when you're about." Which is, which is ridiculous, but there's some truth in it, isn't there? It's like, I don't want to be hanging around with you if you're not going to be drinking.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Sometimes because it might make me feel uncomfortable if you're not drinking.
And that's where it tends to land with people that want to avoid it. Avoid
I felt as if that kind of self-awareness thing was perhaps the first indication of a divergence from what you might expect to see in a dependent drinker.
Yeah.
Because if I'm saying, I think I've been drinking a bit too much recently, that's probably, ironically, an indication that I'm not a dependent drinker, and I have kind of I'm not in kind of denial about the extent of the problem that I have with alcohol. Does that make sense?
It does, but it reminds me also of a very similar thing we were talking about in group the other day. Actually, is where other people will deny it for you. Say, "No, you're not drinking too much. Come on, it's all right. Let's carry on." And again, I think that's more of a blokey thing.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, you can hear men saying that to each other, can't you?
Yeah. "Oh, you're all right, blimey. That I've known lots of people that drink way more than you. Come on, shape up.
Have a short then."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, go top shelf it for a couple of weeks. You'll be all right then.
Yeah, and that would happen, wouldn't you, if you're out on an evening and you've had enough beer and there'd be clearly you've had enough to drink.
Yeah.
Have a short then because I can get that in.
That's it. Yeah.
Mad. Okay, so some other findings, some other conclusions from the research.
I'm enjoying this.
Okay, 42% of people that were participated in this research were found to be in the risky range. So nearly half of the people that do dry January seem to have good reason to be doing it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this. I don't know what you think about this, but I thought to myself, I reckon even if you were doing research outside of the parameters of dry January, I reckon there'd be an alarming number of people whose relationship with alcohol puts them in the risky range. What do you think? Because people don't think twice, do they, about coming home and, necking a bottle of wine or half a bottle of wine every night.
And I think it's that grey area between social drinking, where you'll have perhaps a glass of wine a week, and being at the other end of the scale, being the alcoholic. You've got quite a big range in between, where someone coming home and a bottle of wine each evening is probably still functioning okay, getting by, and wouldn't identify it as a problem until they tried to stop, and then they would find out that the habitual side of it would create the craving.
Yeah, and you do hear that certainly happens a lot. I mean, you perhaps haven't heard this from people, but I've certainly heard people say they tried to do dry January and they lasted a couple of weeks. And for a lot of people, it seems as if the significance of that doesn't really register.
No.
You set out to stay off alcohol for a month, and you can do it for 10 days, and you think, "Oh, no, I can't do that." But the message that that's giving to you about the relationship you have with alcohol seems to sort of disappear into the ether.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, so on that point, they found that most of the participants had less perception of control over alcohol, so they were not good at controlling alcohol intake, even if they thought they were.
Yeah.
They did have an increased awareness of their drinking, so it did provide them with a kind of focal point of focus on what they were doing. They found that there was a lower rate of rebound drinking, than they anticipated there might be. So if someone had not been drinking for the whole of January, they didn't then get to February and think, crikey, I've got to make up for a month.
Yeah.
That was potentially a positive sign. They found that it did improve people's confidence over their relationship with alcohol. So if people went into dry January finding it difficult to resist when someone said, do you want to drink? And they wanted to say, no, I'll have a soft drink. They found, having gone through dry January, they found that participants found it easier to say, no, I don't want to drink, I'll just have a mineral water or whatever. So that also was potentially quite positive.
Did you want me to come in with a point on that, or should we?
Yeah, please do, yeah.
No, I just think that's quite dangerous sometimes in that respect. They think, oh, I've given it up for a month and I'm okay. And then they can go back to previous levels, which are dangerous.
But I think that's where there is.
It's almost like a false confidence.
Well, I think this is where there's a confluence between someone who is a dependent drinker,
yeah,
and someone who just might be sensibly trying to get a better control over their relationship with alcohol. So we'll come back to that point if we may.
We'll come back to
that. Although they did find on that point that casual drinkers did feel that if they did dry January, they could cane it February to December.
Yeah.
Because it gave them, it was like a free pass. You know, I've done this, I've kind of done my time.
Yeah.
So now it doesn't really matter what I drink February to December, because, and you made this point last time, because I've demonstrated I can stop if I want to.
Yeah.
So you're right, that was... And 88% of participants found they saved money, which I suppose is not... Not just in January, but generally speaking, after January was finished, they didn't spend so much money on alcohol. Perhaps they were better at bumming drinks from their friends.
Perhaps they were, yeah. But it's, it's an obvious knock-on effect of not drinking alcohol. You're going to save money.
You think so?
But it's quite interesting. So 12% of people didn't save money. So I suspect the people that fell into that category are those people that have still got an addiction issue, and would during that time, instead of not spending it on alcohol, they'd be spending it on shopping. They'd be spending it on... But it does. I'm sure the stats didn't go into that. But I think that fits nicely into we know roughly, 10% of the population have addiction issues. So
yeah, I mean, it's inevitable, isn't it, that some of the people that participate in dry January are going to be, and we're going to come to this, are going to be drinkers for whom that campaign is not suitable.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So after looking at that, I wanted to then just spend a little time thinking about what are the problems with dry January and what are the positives.
Okay.
I'm going to look at them in that order. Like high.
Good. Yeah.
So problems. And you've made this point, and I think you made it last time, and you've just hinted at it then. There's a problem in that short-term abstinence does not mean there isn't a problem.
Absolutely.
So just because you can white-knuckle it through January doesn't mean you don't have an issue with drink.
No, and it can give you it comes up in recovery all the time. It comes up. We find this thought kicks in at about the 3-month mark, where people would say to themselves, which is quite dangerous when people are leaving the rehab. So they've been there for 3 months. They leave it, and the demons will be telling them, "You've done 3 months. You're all right. Perhaps you wasn't an alcoholic after all. You can crack on." So it's and I think we've talked about it before under Gestalt psychology, where you get this fertile void where you're sort of flatline for a little while, and this tends to kick in at 3 months and at 6 months and at 12. It tends to skip 9 for some reason, but on each of those occasions,
it doesn't feel significant enough. 9.
No, it doesn't, and I think it just seems to be at those periods people will question whether they were an alcoholic or whether they had a drug dependency after all, because if they've done 3 months. Not many people can do that. So perhaps, it will question, and certainly that kicks in at 6 month mark in the year as well.
So that is one factor that demonstrates why dry January might be a poor choice for a project to follow if you're a dependent drinker.
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
yourself a false idea of your ability.
Yeah, well, yeah, it can do exactly that. And
Which kind of leads. Go on.
No, I've known people to white knuckle it through a certain period, and then when the brakes are off, they'll go flat out again.
It's funny, isn't it, how white knuckling it through doesn't in itself tell you something.
Yeah, I mean, if
it feels really, really difficult to do it, then
there's got to be an issue there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, that was one of the other problems, that there is a lack of reflection from participants generally on how hard it was.
Yeah.
So when people get to the end of dry January, they can feel elated that they've done it, or they can have found that it was easier than they thought it was going to be. And we'll come to some of the benefits of doing it in a minute. But what they found didn't happen very often was that if participants found it difficult, they didn't really think about how difficult it had been.
Okay.
They didn't kind of take the learning from, crikey, that was really tough doing 30 days without drink.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to do dry February.
Yeah.
So, which again is the point that you've made, that success is not completion. Just completing dry January is not in and of itself a success.
No. I mean, you can pat yourself on the back for perhaps a reason which is, I suppose you could be quite proud of doing it. But I think, again, a lot of time I've known people do it for almost like as a look at me, I'm good sort of thing, sort of bragging rights almost over that.
Yeah.
And so, but it's surprising how many people you see put it on social media, they're starting it. And then very few people actually put on their status that when they finished it, So a lot of people would have fallen by the wayside. They start off with the right intents, and then, something will crop up. Oh, a dinner party cropped up or something like that. Or, mate's birthday. Sorry?
I'm having a day off.
Having a day off? Oh, yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Out of 31 days.
Yeah. But it's funny, isn't it? The particular person I was talking to about this, now, a year sober, he can reflect on the ridiculousness.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, you can't do that. You can't. Right. It sort of seems, I can have a day off. It's a monetary thing, which is another kind of problem we'll come to in a sec. A couple of other things. It can reinforce denial, which is a point you've made.
Mm.
So if I get through it, I definitely haven't got a problem then.
Yeah.
It can delay people seeking help.
Yes, it can. Yeah, again, because of that denial process, it's a corollary of that.
Exactly.
You think, perhaps I haven't got an issue, so I don't need to even mention it to other people.
Exactly. Yeah. So you could get to sort of the end of December and think, crikey, I think I need some help with my drinking.
Yeah.
I'm going to do dry January. You can white knuckle through it.
Yeah.
To the end, think, I obviously don't need help with my drinking. We've spoken about this before, I think, and I've certainly said this to people with regard to therapy. If you're asking if you ask the question, do I need therapy or have I got a problem with drink, you almost definitely have.
Yeah.
Because otherwise Absolutely. You wouldn't be asking the question, would you?
It wouldn't be on your radar, no.
Yeah. It can also strengthen the belief that the issue is only situational and not behaviourally persistent.
Yeah.
So I only struggle in these situations if I'm in the pub with my friends or, rather than actually this is not about the context. This is not about the situation. This is about how I have about my relationship with alcohol.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, I've known people do exactly that, where their dry January is not drinking at home. So
Right.
It's almost like a watered down version. If they go out, yeah, sure, I can't go out and not have a drink with my mates, but if I'm knocking it for January, I'm not having any drink at home.
They just go out more.
And that's what tends to happen.
Yeah. Instead of ringing a night in and think, I'll have a drink at home, you think, no, I better go out so I can have a drink then.
Ring around their mates. Come on, do you fancy one? So there's an excuse to go out, yeah. So I've known people do watered down versions where it is contextual.
Yeah, God dear. And then I think the final thing was, and again, we've spoken about this a little bit, there was, for some people, an immediate return to damaging behaviour because of this thing that I think in psychology is called licensing effect, which is if you do something that you feel is a movement towards a change, it kind of feels as if it gives you more moral authority to continue with your damaging behaviour, or maybe even make it worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you do dry January, your February looks like an absolute car crash.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I can understand that one. I can understand that.
So they're the problems. But I want to just list a few of the positives, unless you've got any other problems that you can think of.
I have. Well, I've got a problems that how it's viewed from people that are in recovery.
Okay.
Or people are struggling, certainly the early stages of recovery, because they see if and the feedback they get from people that have done dry January, who generally haven't got a problem anyway, so it's a breeze. It suddenly then undervalues the effort you have to put in when you are in recovery. Mm-hmm. And it's almost say, well, I could give up for a month. What's wrong with you? It's easy. And so it gives a false impression of how difficult the struggle is, and how life-threatening the condition is, and how the addiction as a whole is not. It's not a walk in the park, like just taking a month off. It's a daily struggle, and so when people can grandiosely lord it over people, say, "Wow," they fall into the category of, "Well, why didn't you just stop drinking?" Don't do it. That sort of category.
Don't you think part of that problem then is this kind of convergence of different groups of people who might have some sort of issue with alcohol, and you can't treat them all in the same way. Someone who might drink a bit too much but can do dry January is not the same as someone who's got a dependence on alcohol.
No. I mean,
although they might look the same, they're not the same.
Absolutely. Yeah, two people giving up for January will have a totally different experience.
Yeah.
So some will find it very easy because it wasn't a problem in the first place anyway. Yeah, it'd be like a smoker saying I'm not going to smoke, a non-smoker saying I'm not going to smoke in January. Do you know what I mean? It's you don't break stride.
Yeah.
And so that can skew the figures when the amount of people that are doing dry January, they probably didn't drink anyway. A lot of them. It's almost like there we go.
It'd be like me giving up goat's cheese for January, wouldn't it?
It's exactly that. Yeah, giving up something that isn't a problem.
Yeah.
And in fact, you wouldn't break stride at all. You just walk through it.
Mm. Okay. Any others?
No, I don't think so. I may think of others, but I think that was that they tend to be the ones that tend to crop up when we're discussing it in groups. Certainly from a recovery point of view, that seems to be the main one. It gives the impression, and in society says, well, it's just this is easy.
Mm. Okay. Well, we're going to come back to that in a second, but I'm just going to run through some of the positives that people found from participation with dry January.
Yep.
The first one is that for some people, it did lead in the research to long-term reduction in their imbibing.
Yeah.
So the data shows that there is some rebound drinking, but it does occur to the minority of participants. And this is all kind of leading towards a conclusion around who dry January is best suited to. Even partial participation has benefits. So even people who didn't do the full month reported feeling more confident in their relationship with alcohol. That might have been bullshit, but that's what was reported. But they did report sleeping better and their mood being more stable, which I guess you'd expect, wouldn't you?
You would.
For any of us, if we reduce our intake of alcohol, it's going to have those sorts of physiological benefits. 81% of people said they felt more in control. 70% said they were sleeping better, and 65% said they felt their general health had improved. And probably crucially, 6 months later, when they went back and retested this cohort, they found that many of the participants were still drinking less than they had been before they did dry January. Right? So I thought we'd kind of wrap up with thinking about what this might tell us, and I want you to tell me whether you agree with any of these.
Okay, yeah.
The first one is it's dry January is not a treatment intervention
No,
and should
quite.
not be considered as one.
Mm-hmm.
Second, it's time limited and therefore it's not abstinence based. Whatever you think about dry January, it's not an abstinence program. It's 4 weeks where you're trying to control better your relationship with alcohol. So in that sense, it doesn't bear any comparison at all with people who are in rehab.
Mm.
Third, it is about control and reduction, not recovery.
Yeah.
It's not a recovery program.
No.
Again, when people say, well, I did dry January, why can't you just stop? You're not comparing apples with apples.
You're not. No, absolutely.
With Jack Daniels. And the fourth thing is there is no aspect of relapse prevention within dry January.
No, quite.
Or any work on understanding the causes. So in those respects too, it's completely different from rehab and recovery.
Yeah, it is, and what does spring to mind there also, which again I've heard in the past when we're having discussions on this matter. If you do have a big alcohol problem, and you're sort of cajoled by friends and family or whatever to do dry January, that can cause great issues. If you have got an issue, if you've got a problem with it, particularly seizures. So if you suddenly stop, we know it's very dangerous to suddenly stop. So if you do suddenly go into a dry January situation, stop overnight, you can end up having seizures, you can end up dying. Alcohol is one of the only drugs where withdrawals can be fatal. Most of the others are just very uncomfortable. But with alcohol, you can actually die from withdrawing. So if you decide to do dry January in a moment of madness, when you are bang on a bottle of vodka a day or whatever, you could potentially die. So
you might not see February.
No, you won't. You won't see past the first couple of days in January, probably. Yeah. So any withdrawal from any sort of drug needs to be properly monitored and managed. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
So here are my 3 conclusions. Unless you've got anything.
No, go on.
Go on. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
No. I think, although I'm generally against it, there is, as you quite rightly pointed out, there are some positives. And I think, from my point of view, if it does give someone food for thought that actually I have having a problem giving up, it's not as easy as I thought, perhaps I ought to seek help, then I'm fine with that. But overall, I don't think there's many people fall into that category. Okay.
So this is what I concluded. Tell me if you agree with this.
Yeah.
3 things. It's a useful low threshold behaviour change initiative with some benefits.
Yeah.
It's not an adequate test to see if you've got an issue with alcohol.
No, quite.
And it's not suitable for dependent users who need structured support for recovery.
Absolutely not. No.
And that's it.
Okay, yeah, I'm coming from a slightly biased point of view.
Well, that's why I thought it'd be interesting to do it, because it felt to me as if there was a reason you were coming from the perspective you were coming from, and I think what the research suggests is that that's because it's not a program that's aimed at the people that you work with.
Yeah, quite.
In fact, it's got more potential danger than benefit for people who fall into that group.
Yeah. No, I think there's limited benefits from it, but I suspect it will still go on because it's sort of trendy as well, and people can lord it over people if they're able to give up for a month and then talk about it in the pub afterwards, probably saying how good they were to give it up when they're bang back on it again. And they pop off to the toilets for a little bump, a little line or something, just to keep them going through dry January.
Is there a similar project for drugs?
For drugs, no, it doesn't seem to be. But again, dry January. I wonder how many people there have given up alcohol and have lent on something else instead.
It must happen. Yeah.
And I'm sure the stats won't show that up, or won't or the research wouldn't be able to delve into that with any level of accuracy.
No, that's right. I've given up alcohol for January, but I've eaten my body weight in chocolate.
Yeah, or I've had, I've just got about. I've only had a few lines of Coke. It's all right now. Sure, just to get me by, just to get me over January. got to have something. I'll tell you where people do lead into at that point, and I've seen it happen a lot, and it still gets underplayed if they give up alcohol, but then smoke an increasing amount of weed, and think, oh, weed's all right. That's not a real drug. That sort of attitude.
Yeah, I can see that.
So dry January may, in fact, show, people may go on to weed instead, or put an alternative drug in its place just to complete the dry January scenario.
Yeah, so if you're doing that, stop it.
Don't. Yeah, behave yourself. But I was watching a little sort of a little video which I think it might have been on Facebook, and it's one of the guys who's in recovery, and he was just talking about there isn't a safe level of alcohol. His point of view, zero is best. It's poison. It's a bit like saying there's a safe level of heroin you can take, or a safe level of bleach that you can ingest.
Yeah, I don't think there is there?
No, there isn't, and there are. Zero is what you've got to achieve.
I think a lot of the most recent research is supportive of that position. Actually,
yes, it is. Yeah. But he was getting a little bit political, saying it's a corporate thing. It is a
corporate thing, isn't it? Because there's a lot of tax paid by.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a political. There's a political angle on not telling people that zero is best. You can have a couple. A glass of red wine is good for you, and this sort of thing. Where looking back, I used to go to the doctors in the 50s, and they'd say, "Oh, have a Benson and Hedges, have a little chuff on that. It's well good for you." But they did, didn't they? They used to have them. I remember my dad telling me he went into the doctor's. I can't remember where it was, in Maidstone, and on the doctor's desk there'd be a little tub with some cigars sticking out of it. You could have one on your way out. but that was seemed okay. It was deemed quite cleansing to smoke back then.
It's quite surprising they've got a few cans in there in the doctor's.
That's right. A couple of little
7.
Just to keep you topped up. Yeah.
Or a bar in the waiting room.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I was thinking back in the day when I was drinking. There never used to be enough pubs around or off licences as far as I was concerned. And my idea was to have one in every shop, or in clothes shops. So so if you went in with it sounds a bit sexist, but if you went in with your wife or your girlfriend, they could go and look at the dresses, and you could just go behind this screen and watch the football and drink beer. But
I'm glad you didn't go on Dragon's Den with that idea.
Well, you could have sort of glass doors where the bloke could just look out and nod, say, "Yeah, no, you look great in that." Well, it's just while he's having a couple with one eye on the final score.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but
anyway,
now it seems a very sexist and very stupid thing to even consider.
Yeah. Well, that's it anyway.
Very good. I thought I learned a lot there. I did learn. I like your stats. I like that. I like that. The research, it sort of backs up to a large extent what I say, but it does. There's some positives to it as well. So
it puts another sort of spin on it too, doesn't it? So what we do next? And have you got a conundrum for me?
I have, yeah.
Right.
It sort of takes. Well, it's in not in several stages, but as the scenario changes, you may change your idea.
Oh, okay. Oh, crikey, it sounds complicated.
It's not complicated. You'll understand as we go along. But so first of all, if you're watching Crime Watch on the TV,
yeah,
and a little video comes up, a little grainy CCTV video on there of someone you know,
yeah,
would you ring in and dib them in?
Depends who it is.
That's the first thing. So it depends who it is. So I'm going to give you a scenario.
Hang on. What's the crime?
Again, that's another.
Okay, because that would make a difference.
It would be right. Okay. So first of all,
yeah.
If it was someone that you didn't like on there, right, and
I'll be straight on the phone.
They'd be nicking cars. You'd be on. You wouldn't you there? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I'd be on there. I'd probably embellish it. So they'd nick my car as well.
What if it was a close friend?
Yeah. What, who'd be nicking cars?
Nicking cars.
I'd probably speak to them first.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a line drawn.
I do. I'll tell you. I mean, this is quite a good one actually. You should do this feature every week. I think what I'd do is if it was something like that, which is nicking cars. I think I'd probably speak to them and encourage them to turn themselves in. That's what I'd do.
Okay. Okay. We'll take that same scenario. So it's a friend. You think about, well, what if it was aggravated burglary, or if they'd been violent? Would you turn them in, or would you still have a word?
This is difficult, really, because all of my friends, I just couldn't imagine doing that. I think at that point, if it's an aggravated burglary where someone's been hurt, I think I would turn them in, if I'm honest.
Okay. So we know roughly where the line in sand is drawn here. So we know if it's a friend, if it's someone you didn't like, you turn them in, regardless of what the crime was. If it's a friend, you would say, and then if it is a friend, it depends upon the crime.
Well, no, I think my you're right. There is a red line here, but I think I would not protect them. I'd encourage them to, look, you're going to get recognised. I've recognised you. I'm not going to be the only one. You need to sort this out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd speak to them first if it was a violent crime.
What if it's murder? What if it's murder?
Well, I definitely wouldn't. I'd definitely turn them in.
Turn them straight in.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we know. So there's a hierarchy of crime. Okay.
I know where you're going with this.
Okay. So we just move it on from a friend to if it was your son or your daughter come up on crime watch.
Oh my God.
Same sort of scenario. If it was car theft, it's an obvious choice. You wouldn't dib them in on that. You'd have word of them, etc. But how far has that line shifted as far as the hierarchy of crime is concerned?
I think if it was, I'm just being honest. I think if it was my children, I think in all cases I'd speak to them first.
Okay. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to protect my own children from violent crime.
No.
I wouldn't want to, because I don't think that would be. It wouldn't be morally right, and I don't consider it would be something that would be right for them either. I do believe that people are fundamentally good, but in order for people to show their fundamental goodness, then sometimes they need some correction or some help and support.
Yeah.
I can't think of a scenario in which I would protect to the ends of the earth anyone if they'd done something like that. I don't think I could. I don't think I could sleep at night.
No, because the last part of this was really.
What if it was me I was seeing?
We could switch it around, but if your son or daughter came home and said, "Look, I've got a body in the boot of the car. I need help burying it or getting rid of it,"
No chance.
Because you are complicit as soon as you invite.
I don't think they do that. I don't think they do that. I don't think they do that.
No, panic can cause you.
For me, it's. I mean, obviously it could happen, I suppose, but that feels so far fetched.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in any of these situations, you can't possibly know how you'd respond, unless you faced it.
No.
I can't imagine myself I can't imagine myself being complicit in anything like that. It would be so against everything.
Yeah.
My kind of moral fibre.
And sure, but I know some, not personally, but I know some people will have been put in that position.
I'd turn you in immediately.
That's right. Well, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I'd put
even shoplifting,
petty theft. I wouldn't even wait for you to be on Crime Watch. I'd just grass you straight up.
In fact, even if the video was someone aging and balding, I'd say it was you, even if I knew it wasn't.
I would say it was you wearing a Rod Stewart wig, trying to get away with it.
I'd say I've seen that man getting let in at Maidstone United football ground at below pensionable age.
With concessionary rate, false concessionary rate.
I might report that to the authorities, because that's fraud, isn't it? It's fraud.
It is. Yeah.
You fraudulently impersonated an old age pensioner.
I did, basically, and took £2 out of the pocket of Maidstone United.
Yeah,
three quid.
Tea for me, but never mind. Anyway, very good. I like that one.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable, but still, there we are.
Yeah. Good. That's how that should be, shouldn't it? Conundrum like that.
Yeah. What's next?
Normally it's gratitude list, isn't it?
Gratitude. Shall I go?
Yeah, because mine is very flimsy, really.
Mine's quite flimsy. I mean, we've probably had it before, but it seems a bit of an odd thing to be grateful for this week because we've had a lot of it. But I'm grateful we've had a bit of rain.
Okay.
Because it was getting a bit. I mean, we've had a hosepipe ban all winter, and if we go into spring and we have a dry spring, it's going to be like the wastelands of Africa out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So even though it's been a bit of a nuisance having to wash the dogs constantly, because they're very good at getting muddy, it's been nice to see a bit of rain. And I managed to get my new jasmine plant in the ground, so that was good. I know you'll be happy about that.
I'm over the moon for you. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'll share that with you. It must be delightful. I'm grateful for you've got
Yeah, so I'm
there.
pleased that we've had a little bit of rain. Yeah, but I don't need too much of it because it encourages. If it's mild and rainy, it encourages the slugs, and we don't want that.
No, no. You wouldn't in your in your garden. That'd be a nightmare for you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's not funny.
Anyway, I'm what I was grateful for. As I said, a couple of things. One was weather related. I was grateful getting to work the other day. It was really icy on the road, so I got to work intact because those people we had to turn around at one point because there's a hill that's too slippery to get up.
Was that day that I sent you a text saying be careful out there? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
It was crazy, wasn't it?
It was, and I remember getting into my car, and I've never seen the temperature gauge say -8. It's the lowest I've ever seen on that.
Did you tap it to see if it was
it must be wrong. And the ice was thick on the windscreen, but the roads were treacherous.
Yeah, they really were bad that morning.
So I was grateful. I'm always grateful we get to work if there's bad weather like that.
I don't think that's a flimsy one. I think that's a pretty good one.
And I was also grateful for West Ham beating Spurs away yesterday.
Yeah,
very grateful for a win in a terrible season. Just a little just a glimmer.
Yeah, it's nice, wasn't it, to be able to watch Match of the Day for once.
Yeah, well, I was out, so I didn't actually watch Match of the Day, but I will get the opportunity at some point to watch the highlights. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make the most of it because it might be the last win they have this season.
Well, it undoubtedly will, but it's just nice, isn't it?
All right. So it's the lyric quiz.
Oh yeah. This is the bit I was most worried about actually because.
Well, you should be. I've got my own little spin on it. So this is how it's going to work. You're still going to get 4 questions.
Okay.
You're going to get 2 points for each and 4 points for the last one, right?
Okay.
To introduce a little bit of jeopardy,
okay.
I've prepared 7 lyrics, and I'm going to get you to choose 1 to 7, and so you are essentially going to choose your own lyrics.
Okay? My own destiny, even though they're all tough. 7.
Well, they're not necessarily all tough. I mean, there might be some doozies in here.
So is the 4-pointer in that 7 as well? Then, the
4-pointer will be the last one you choose.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah? So 1 to 7.
All right. I'll just jot down as I go. I'm going to go with number 2.
Okay. That's a good choice. Here's the lyric. Are you ready?
Yep.
When I'm tired and thinking cold, I hide in my music, forget the day.
No, it doesn't ring any bells at all.
Do you want a clue or do you just want me to tell you?
No, you can give me a clue so we can get it, even though I won't get any points. Eh?
It's rock.
Rock, yeah.
We might be going back as far as late 70s.
Oh, okay. And is it a UK band or
no
American band? You've deliberately chosen some American rock. Is it by Boston or Chicago or Styx?
It is Boston. Well done.
It is Boston. Is it more than a feeling?
Yes, it is. I'm going to give you a point for that because although you didn't really deserve it, you did deduce it. So good. You got 1 point for correctly identifying the lyrics from Boston's "More Than a Feeling."
Oh, I've just got a feeling all 7 of these are going to be American rock, soft rock.
I mean, it's good that you identify the lyrics for that because we know really secretly that you really love that song.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think you did quite a good job of pretending that you didn't know what it was.
It's the only song by Boston I know. Let's put it that way. So if it had been any other song, I'd have been dead in the water.
All right. Well,
okay. I'm going to go for number 3.
Number 3. All right. Good. She always has a smile. She never hurries us along. She stays a little while.
Can you say that again?
She always has a smile. She never hurries us along, just stays a little while.
No, it doesn't mean anything either.
No?
No.
Do you want any clues?
No. It's not sparking anything.
It is a tricky one.
Hey?
It is a tricky one.
Oh, okay. Is it another?
We're probably back in the 70s again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's the only clue you give me, is it?
Well, there are quite a few performers in this act.
Back in the 70s, quite a few performers.
Mm-hmm. I think it was number one. In fact, I'm sure it was.
So was it like a St. Winifred school choir?
Well done. That's exactly who it was. What's the name of the song?
Is it? It's either There's No One Quite Like Grandma or...
I'm giving you 2 points for that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. There's No One Quite Like Grandma from St. Winifred School Choir. Another one of your favourites. Well done. Okay. Third choice.
I'm going to go number 6.
Number 6.
Bobby Moore, number 6.
Okay. Here's the lyric. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill. Paying anything to roll the dice just one more time.
No. Yeah, these are coming from absolutely out of a level of no recognition whatsoever. Not even a glimmer.
There's a couple out this 7 that I would be pretty confident you'd have known, but you're not picking them.
I'm choosing round them.
It was originally from the 80s.
Okay.
It's been sampled many, many times, far too many times. You hate it.
This is why you've chosen it, is it?
It's American.
Okay.
Who would be the bands that you would list as the ones you detest the most?
Foreigner.
It's not Foreigner.
No.
I mean, we've had Boston already.
Chicago. Yes. REO Speedwagon.
No.
No. Are you going to have to...
I'll tell you, it's Journey with Don't Stop Believing.
No, I'd never have got that. You're deliberately putting...
Honestly, I promise you this, there are a sprinkling of American rock acts on here.
Okay, and I'm picking them all. I'll go for number 7.
So you've got one left. This is your big 4-pointer.
All right, number 7 then.
Oh, you can't believe it.
Is it an American
rock?
Is it?
We'll have another choice. Because number 7 is Foreigner with Jukebox Hero. So I'm feeling bad for you. I want you to have a chance with your 4-pointer.
Okay, I'll go for number 1 then.
Okay, good. Here it is. The jukebox in the corner, blasting out my favourite song. The nights are getting warmer. It won't be long. Do you know this?
Yeah.
You definitely do know this.
Yeah. Jukebox in the corner, blasting out my favourite song. What's the next bit?
The nights are getting warmer. It won't be long. 70s. Rock act that I'm certain you like. There's a link with the children's programme Crackerjack.
Okay. I was thinking it's not Status Quo, is it?
No, but you're in the right ballpark. It's a British act.
Oh, it's Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, it is. With
Boys Are Back in Town.
Yeah. I can't give you 4 for that.
No.
But I'm going to give you 2.
Okay.
So I reckon you scored 5 there, which is pretty good considering you had 2 American rock songs in there.
Well, yeah, it was tough going with them when you deliberately put some American rock in there.
Well, I thought I don't really get this chance very often, so I thought I'd have to give you some American rock.
Well, I think you should have the chance more often.
Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah,
I think it was quite good fun doing it that way around. Yeah,
well, it took the heat off you a bit, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
I hope our listener enjoyed that slight rearrangement of the deck chairs.
Yeah, well, I hope they did. I think it gave a different angle to it.
If you hated it, listener, don't tell us because it would be upsetting for me.
Yeah, it would do. That would ruin your self-esteem, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What did boost my self-esteem a little bit was when you told me about the statistic of how many countries this podcast was downloaded in last year.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Which was...
I can't remember how many it is now.
58, wasn't it?
Yeah, 58 countries we're listened to in.
Yeah, which is a third of the world, apparently, isn't it? Which is quite a big chunk. We got to be happy with that, haven't we?
Unless we've got someone who's an avid listener who happens to be an airline pilot.
Either that or everyone
downloads it from wherever they happen to be.
Yeah, it could be that. Or there are people using VPNs, so it skews the statistics.
Yeah, why would you want to use a VPN to listen to us? It's not that embarrassing.
I don't know. Some people use it for everything.
All right.
All right, thanks, mate.
See you next time.
Good work. Thank you.
Laters.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.